Toot, 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 ba-do-boop, ba-do, do-do, ba-do, do-do, do, ba-do-do.
Oh shit, we're live. Hey,
Hey,
welcome back to another episode of the B Plus Podcast, brought to you by SeftimorLive.com. I am Seftimor,
I'm Nathan.
and today we're gonna do some Nintendo history. I'm gonna let Nathan take this one to start.
All right, let's do it. I think that we'll get as far as we can with this, but want to talk about Nintendo's history. And I, as a child in the 80s, vividly remember the Nintendo Entertainment System. It's an 8-bit system, and it was a huge success. It could play different titles that could be purchased at your store in the US in 1985. We bought them in cartridges. Sometimes they worked well, sometimes they didn't. And you take it out and you blow on them and you put them back in and you stuff things on top of them. I don't know. This is getting weird. But what a lot of people didn't know is that they didn't start out with just doing video games at all. They started out
with
as a card company. They, from 1889 to 1956, Nintendo was a card company. And there's a poster that I could definitely link to you. They made cards and card games. And I think Nintendo meant something like leave luck to the heavens, something like that.
Really?
And that would, yeah. It's kind of neat. And later on, from 56 to 72, when they started things started going south, they started making toys. And they were working on these toys, and they had somebody.
Sex toys?
No, not those kind of toys. Like
No,
toy toys.
sex toys.
They did not make sex toys,
Dude.
Well,
look it up.
wait. You'll be able to tie this into something as soon as you hear what one of their first hits were. Okay, so it's 19. Here's the backdrop. In 1966.
Dude, I'm looking it up. This is bullshit.
No, watch. Okay, Yamauchi was observing in one of the factories they had, and he noticed an extending arm, like those arms that you can extend to grab things.
Yeah.
It was made by one of their maintenance engineers. This Yokio, and he made it for his own amusement, right? So the boss ordered him to develop it as a proper product for the Christmas rush coming up, and it was called the Ultra Hand, right? So it would become one of Nintendo's like earliest but huge, big blockbuster, selling over 1 million units. And after that, he saw that this guy who was a maintenance engineer had promise, so he pulled him off the assembly line work and he moved him to from maintenance duty to product development. And this guy, he actually made other things for them as time went on, and they were like successful toys for them. And before we knew it, after 56 to 72 to the present, they got in the games. And when they first got in the games, they were they had a light gun that they had developed with this guy, right? And the light gun was an accessory. So they tried to team up with Magnavox for the Magnavox's Odyssey, and they're like, well, why don't you sell our gun with your system here, with your console, and it can be an additional thing that you can have to use as a game or a gimmick or whatever you might want to call it. The alliance worked pretty well. Eventually, they went on to what was it? Their first kind of their own system was the Color TV Game 6, and this was the first step. What they did was they took the first step to secure the rights to distribute the Magnavox Odyssey in Japan, which they did in like 75. But home video game consoles were extremely rare. Even the Atari Pong console had yet to be produced. So later on, Mitsubishi Electric popped out a color TV game machine, and they released it, I think, with Nintendo and Mitsubishi as the Color TV Game 6. And I didn't know any of this stuff was even like a thing. I thought Nintendo came out in Japan in 83 and came out in the States in 85. And that was it. I thought that started the whole, I thought there was other systems out before that, and then Nintendo showed up and everyone was like, whoa, because I think 83, there was some talk of a video game decline where it wasn't working out in America. And Nintendo shows up and they totally saved the day and kind of move things in a different direction. But even after the Color TV Game 6, there was they had their own. Here we go with the handhelds. They had it's called the Game and Watch, and it's a little handheld, and I guess the G&W it produced games from like 88 to like maybe even 91, and it's the game designer was that guy who came off the line. Um, it's like you have a single game to be played on an LCD screen, and in addition to like a clock and an alarm on it, it was like the earliest Nintendo product to garner a major success with like I think it was like 43.4 million units sold worldwide. And then not too long after that, I'm sure you had owned yourself even when you were younger a Nintendo Entertainment System, an NES, which was released in '95. It's probably one of the most popular consoles of all time. I mean, for me, it made a big impact. Like being able to sit down and like, there's Rob the Robot. I don't even know what to do with them. I got the duck hunt gun with them. I'm looking at this gun here. I'm shooting ducks, and it became surreal to the point where, like, I guess when I get what was it, Mario came out first, Super Mario Brothers, when they came out, that was a really big deal. The first like third party company to make games for the Nintendo was Konami. The biggest release I can think of besides like the Mario Brothers series or now franchise for them that I can remember back then was like The Legend of Zelda came out, and like it came out, it was really still a lot of like critical acclaim, but I don't know, like these things will always go down like as is right now, like uber franchises for Nintendo, and could probably keep them afloat even if they didn't have a console out, because I don't know, like people will buy their machines just to play these games, I'm pretty sure. What did you own when you were younger?
Well, what I was going to say first is that they had a big share of that market as well, because people like Konami or Capcom or all those people were getting their games distributed to Nintendo.
Yeah,
that's not the case anymore. They've moved on to other platforms, and unfortunately, the way I see it is, unless there's some exclusive that people are putting out for, like the new Nintendo Switch that someone's putting out. But I had a Wii and I had a Wii U, and now Nintendo's to the point where I think people buy them solely for Nintendo games, where back in the day they would have had a monopoly on that. What I had was obviously the original Nintendo. I had a Super Nintendo. I went to Nintendo 64, and then, like I'm saying now, is when not the downfall, but the switch, pun intended, over to other consoles was when my buddy from across the street came over with a PlayStation Magazine, and he showed me the cover, which was Final Fantasy VII, and I had a Nintendo 64, and I said, this is the end. And I mean, obviously it wasn't, but for a while, I mean, it was just, PlayStation from then on, with more adult games and things like that, which, like I said, back in the day, you were able to get all that right on your Nintendo. You were able to
what did you have? You had a 64. That means you had the system that came out in 97, right? And I guess PlayStation 1 had come out, and that made a huge impact on what you thought the future of gaming was supposed to be during that era. It was probably like 97 on your way to 2001.
Which is funny, because the PlayStation 1 was still only 32-bit, competing against a 64-bit. But the thing is that people were looking for more adult-oriented games. That's when this whole thing started, where people play Call of Duties and all of that stuff, and the Destinies, the more adult-oriented games. I mean, obviously, people still have a love for not so adult-oriented, as you can see, World of Warcraft, which, I mean, obviously has adult themes in it and stuff like that, but with cartoony graphics and stuff like that. But
I think it's more E for everybody if you think about it.
Right. Yeah. It's
I hear you. I
was
you.
A Nintendo fanboy. I mean, through and through. Like I said, I actually for a while there, I went from Nintendo and then to Sega, and it took a while. Took a while before I went to
I had a Sega.
Super Nintendo. Actually, the Super Nintendo was when Vlad used to bring it over when we were little and used to have sleepovers, and he would bring it over, and he brought over Earthbound, which is still, NES is still, I can't get rid of it, even though in all my other social media it has a a picture of my face on it. On Twitter, I have been a picture of Ness forever from Earthbound, and I will not change it.
That's great. Yeah, stick to your guns on that one. Don't change it. I can chime in on where I probably had my 64 and never moved forward to getting like a GameCube, because I remember my cousin got it. My cousin Mikey got it, but I didn't. I was moving to my PS1. I got a PS2. I wasn't even jumping on board to like the Xbox until the 360 came out, and it was gifted to me. And then I was good, and I had not actually recently gotten back to Nintendo games and systems until I got myself my first DS, and friends would bring over the Wii or the Wii U or the Switch, and now I'm back to thinking like, wow, how did we went from computer gaming to console gaming almost exclusively with like Nintendo and Sega in there, and then we switched the Sony, and then we jumped over to Xbox when the 360 came out, and then I never made the jump after the 360. I had the 360, and then I had a PS3 right near the end. I had the Blu-ray player, and when at the end of the game system to play something like, I don't know, The Last of Us or Uncharted, and went back to PC gaming and never really looked back at any other consoles anymore. I mean, I had a Steam account, I had an MMO as in World of Warcraft. I was plenty busy with what I had in front of me on my PC, but now I'm just like, well, I think I might come back. And oddly enough, rather than picking one of the predecessors that I was with, where it would have been going back to Sony or looking at what would be the next Xbox and having that adult themed and different companies making all different kinds of games for them, could I possibly go back to my roots and end up with like a Wii U or a Switch? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, I love the Super Nintendo. That was awesome, and that's what made me so big into transitioning over to Nintendo 64. Is because that's the thing, that they'll always have Mario, they'll always have Metroid, they'll always have Zelda, and that's gonna sell consoles forever as long as they keep it up. I mean, you see the pandemonium over the new Nintendo Switch, and I mean the selling point is Zelda. Mario Odyssey is not coming out, I don't think, until maybe the summer. I'm not exactly sure.
I mean, timeline-wise, I'd have to agree with you. Mario and the Mario series, all the characters surrounding it and the franchise that's there, and the Zelda one is the two biggest names you can slap on the Nintendo. I'm not downplaying anything with Metroid, but I'm just saying, like, there's a lot more games, especially surrounding Mario, that have all come out. Like Luigi gets his own game, and before you know it, like Yoshi's Wool World's flying around. like there's a lot. Like there's golf games, there's Mario Karts, there's Super Smash Brothers. Like this, it's endless what they can do with it. But they're even in their core game. I've always been like, all right, well, what Mario do they have for this system? What Zelda's out for this system? And that's where they get their sales. I'm gonna bring in a fun fact really quick. I'm gonna have you guess at which system sold the most for them from, let's see, we'll do in million of units all the way from, I don't got a year on these, so let me see. From the beginning where we had Nintendo all the way to one past the Wii where we end up with the 3DS.
The 3DS.
No, it's actually the DS. It went NES, Game Boy, Super Nintendo, right? SNES, N64, GameCube, Game Boy Advance, DS, Wii, then the 3DS. The DS has like 151.52 million sales. It sold so much. It's ridiculous.
I mean, you know, we're terrible at our segues here, but fuck it. That's what bothered me with Nintendo never wanting to go into mobile gaming. Like, how do you look at a statistic like that and say, nah, we ain't gonna make mobile games? No one, you know. I mean, they're obviously saying like no one's gonna. They're not. They can't be saying no one's gonna play them, because I mean, just look at like you said, their highest selling system, but they, you know, they can't. That they didn't want to go into this mobile space, and now look at it. Thankfully, they are now.
Well, that's the thing. Now that we learned from even having our discussion tonight, they started in a mobile space with that Game and Watch I was telling you about, with the LCD system, and you can have a clock or an alarm on it. Now you can play like Mickey Mouse or a Balloon Fight or Donkey Kong or like And then it led to the Game Boy, and then the Game Boy in 1989 was a really big deal. Let me check their sales. Well, here it is over here. Well, I'll finish my thought first. Game Boy went to Pokemon Mini in 2000. Pokemon Mini's listed here. I'm not sure why. Anyway, how many Game Boys did we do? We did Game Boy 89, Game Boy Pocket 96, Game Boy Color 98, Game Boy Advance 2001, Game Boy Advance SP 2003, Game Boy Micro in 2005. There was also a Game Boy Light in 1998. It was only in Japan. They did this little system called the Pokemon Mini in 2001 or 2002. Nintendo DS launched around 2004 and sold like hotcakes. They made the DS in 2004, DS Lite 2006, DSi in 2008, DSi XL in 2009. And they're like, well, you know what? We're switching to the Nintendo 3DS. And then we did the 3DS in 2011. And this is where you could tell they're really learning their lesson, although they already did. 3DS XL 2012, 2013, 2DS, 2014 to 15, the new Nintendo 3DS, and then 2014 to 2015, new Nintendo 3DS XL. And what's next? The hybrid. It all comes full circle, and we got console and mobile gaming in the form of the Nintendo what?
Switch.
Yeah,
and that's what I was talking about. I said they capitalized on what their biggest seller is. You literally just pop this thing in your big screen, or you take it out and you can go across the country. I mean, mind you gotta keep your battery charged, but you go across the country and then just take the handheld with you. They started that with the Wii U when they had the gamepad, with the screen, but you had to be in a certain distance of your console. Now you can just go wherever the hell you want. So now you literally, which is awesome. And I mean, that's why throughout the years, they're always going to last, not only because of their exclusives that they only have on Nintendo, but they try, they throw something at the wall and see if it sticks. And I mean, consumers might get a little pissed off. Like me, when I bought a Wii U, I was just looking for that hybrid of, now I'm going to have my Mario and my Call of Duty on the same thing, and it didn't end up being that at all.
Gotcha.
It was just the Wii U sat there for Nintendo exclusives, just like the Switch is going to sit there for things that only come out,
I think maybe a design difference is that one, the newer console is much more powerful, because we didn't know how much more powerful the Wii U would actually be over the Wii. We didn't actually even know if it was going to be a new system. And then we have this one where like you can play at your house or at someone's house, and then you can literally just like walk into like a subway with it, or a train or a car or a plane, and you can play the game you were just playing on a television or an LCD or whatever you have on the thing you're looking down in front of you, holding in your hands. That's pretty crazy. I mean, maybe they finished their idea they had with the Wii U, that you couldn't go. You said that you couldn't go too far from the console from it, but this one is the console, so you're hooking it up to something else to display it, basically.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's where they're going. I think it's gonna. I mean, I don't know what the sales are right now, but it's definitely, you see it all over the place. It's definitely I think a bigger phenomenon than the Wii or the Wii U was. I mean, maybe not the Wii. The Wii was the first with the motion sensor and had all that. But that's the thing is it's like the South Park episodes when it's like, or Simpsons did it. It's like Nintendo did it because the Wii comes out and then you have the PlayStation Move and the Xbox Connect and stuff like that. I mean, Nintendo has the balls to go out and try something, and then if it sticks, you see the not that it worked for them. I don't think too much, but you see the competition shift.
Yeah. I had it all like, kind of like bass backwards back in the day. I'm like 2006 being like, who's going to be doing what? Is it going to be Microsoft? Is it going to be Sony? Is it going to be Nintendo? I thought Nintendo was going to go like the way of Sega. They'll become the third party license that makes games for someone else's console. Like, right. But they came up with that Wii and the controller and like how innovative it was. And I'm like, that saved them. That totally saved them. They can do what they want now. Good for them. The Xbox at that time might have been the 360 came out, Red Ring of Death, and they tried to rush the PS 3s out at that time, and there was something wrong with them. And like we just got to sit back with a bunch of titles that they can sell with their console and just soak it up. And that's exactly what they did. But then having this discussion tonight is opening my eyes. I can't believe, like, right before the Wii had already come out, like they dominated with their DS. Like their portable was like it was huge, the sales they were able to do with that. Why don't you go ahead and guess at the second highest sales that they have? 2004, they put out their DS, nailed it.
Right. Is it before or after?
Before.
It's before.
Yeah.
Nintendo 64.
The Game Boy.
Oh, yeah.
The first Game Boy, kaboom, 118.69 million.
Yeah.
Like Game Boy set it up, and then later on the DS like knocks it out of the park. Like I'm looking at these numbers here, and I'm like, how come Nintendo, the system I played, isn't higher? How come it goes? It's like SNES 61 mil. No, NES 61 mil. SNES 49. Nintendo 64 32. GameCube 21. I'm like, no, we're 32. Going in the wrong direction.
What's the highest? 100 and what?
The highest is the DS with 151.
And the Nintendo 64 did 32?
The 64 did 32.
Jeez, wow, I was way off. I guess I'm only saying that because I had a very hard time as a child getting that, and I had to be dragged out of multiple stores crying.
Nice.
So
good try. Good shot.
Yeah, I was dragged out of stores in tears. So I thought maybe that was big, but I should know better because that was the rise of the PlayStation and different type of gaming.
Yeah, GameCube comes out, hits 21 mil. A little bit after that, Game Boy Advance comes out, hits 81. Nintendo's like, oh, wait a minute, we're going in the wrong direction. We'll put out the DS, 151, and then the Wii comes out after that, 95.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, like I said, I mean, they're always going to be around because not only, even if they stop making consoles, their games just get critically acclaimed reviews. So they're not going anywhere. I mean, I had fun. Like I kind of want to switch, but I'm doing so much other stuff. I'm like, I'm not gonna get another console.
I don't have time for that crap.
Like right now, I'll enjoy going over Vlad's and playing or doing whatever. Like I want one. But I'm gonna start this Zelda and then I'm never gonna make another video again until it's over, until it's completed.
I'm doing an experiment on my own. I borrowed. There was a Wii that I had hooked up to a TV here for basically just so it can run Netflix. So I moved it into here. And from a very good friend, I borrowed a Zelda. They got to choose. They're the Zelda DJ for me. They gave me Twilight Princess, so I'm gonna try playing through it. I'm gonna see how long it takes me to do it because I just don't game as much as I used to anymore. But with a game like that, I could take my time. It's not gonna matter.
Right. Yeah, Twilight Princess is good. I didn't play a lot of it, but I know it's definitely critically acclaimed up there, and a lot of people seem to like it. I mean, like with any Zelda game, I played. For the Wii U, I played Wind Waker, the HD remaster, and it was fantastic.
I think I'm getting that one next. The one I played up to was Ocarina of Time, and that was for I think 64, and I had not played one past. So
killing it. I mean, they sold. I don't even know how many copies. Look that up. How many copies they sold of that same game on the 3DS?
Oh yeah, like they just sell it again, and everyone's like, yeah.
They've made it in 3D and revamped the graphics, and it's sold again. Like
here's
they
the
can
thing,
do that.
Here's the thing that'll blow your mind once again is that like, all right, so the DS people go crazy for, and they have that big 150 like 2 million in sales, and like X amount of years later they put out the 3DS. How much did the 3DS sell? 17 million. Like they already had the DS, and like people kind of knew like is this like an iProduct? Am I going to buy the iPod every year it comes out? Am I going to buy the iPhone every time they put out a new one? Nintendo definitely had that in mind, and I don't have anything past the 3DS sales, so I can't see. So, but I'll let you know. We could use that for like a part 2, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we'll do our own Switch thing. We have a guest coming on, so
yes, first guest.
Well, yeah. So once we have our guest, we'll do a whole Nintendo Switch. But no, we just wanted to have some Nintendo discussion. Do a little bridge from here to when our guest arrives on our next show. Well, maybe not our next show, but on the next Nintendo show that we're going to do. So
kind of laying down the red carpet for our first guest. Oh, so exciting.
Yes. So, and with a camera, correct?
Yeah, he'll have that. I might even have one by then too. So hey,
Oh man, three faces, three
hey, I don't
ugly
know.
faces,
That's too much. I
three
got.
beautiful faces.
What do I have in my icon right now? Oh, Princess Peach.
Peach, Daisy,
I think Peach. I
uh,
have on. Yeah,
Toadstool,
Peach.
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 Uh,
Pickles.
is there anything else you want to discuss?
No, that's it. We did a good job. I got to say a lot of things I wanted to do this kind of like preemptive strike, a prelude to what we're going to talk about next.
Okay, cool. Then yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you again in a little bit. Take care.
See ya.